Should I already set it in there?
Oh, you can set it in there.
Is that a good time? Okay, I didn't know if it's right.
It might be a little, you might have
a little early, but
10 minutes worth of nothing, but that's all right.
At least I'm out of the way. Yeah, totally. Okay, thanks. Sure.
Probably don't put it in the sun. I know. Yeah, it might overheat.
What'd you do?
I just put it on the side.
Okay.
I don't know if you got a little. Maybe you can come over.
Oh, yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully it gets good.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So pretty much everything's in here. So like I said, mine's is here first. So once I finish mine, I'll just and then your bada bing, bada bing, bada bing. And then I think you guys have your statements with you?
Yeah, I do.
Yep, so it's just us.
You want me to hold it?
You can, or your choice. If not, it's just going to be sitting here.
Sounds good.
Cool. We'll get started in about 3 minutes at 11:20.
So my previous chief, she retired in December, so I've been acting since then. I mean, ideally, yeah. Right now, yeah.
Does that mean okay. Gotcha.
All right. Welcome. I am Special Operations Supervisor Eric Laverne with the Strategic Communications Branch here in San Diego Sector. Today you will hear from San Diego Sector's Acting Chief Patrol Agent Jeff Stallnacher, followed by Lieutenant Colonel Tyrone Berrien, United States Marines, the Commanding Officer of Task Force Sapper, followed by Lieutenant Colonel Philip Mason, U.S. Army, the Commanding Officer of Task Force 716. After their remarks, we will open it up to a short Q&A. Upon completion, we will allow you to enter the enforcement zone to capture B-roll and for quick stand-ups with the public affairs team. Please remember to silence your phones. Thank you. And we'll get started. Chief?
Good morning. Thank you for coming down to the border today and allowing us to take a moment to highlight a truly astonishing collaborative effort between the United States Border Patrol and the Department of Defense. First off, I want to thank our Department of Defense partners for their assistance here in San Diego sector. They have worked tirelessly around the clock since January in support of our mission to secure the border. What we see here behind us today is the result of a true whole-of-government effort. From the Marines laying down miles of concertina wire along the border infrastructure, to the soldiers manning our scope trucks and remote video surveillance cameras 24/7. This is an all-hands-on-deck type situation, and everyone has risen to the challenge. While we continue to see people attempt to illegally enter the country between the ports of entry, the addition of the concertina wire has significantly slowed down illegal entries where deployed, providing the border infrastructure system with yet another layer alongside the current barriers, stadium lighting, and technology. I would be remiss if I did not also mention the increased support with prosecutions from our local United States Attorney's Office. They have accepted over 1,000 criminal cases this fiscal year alone. I must also mention the support by the government of Mexico. Their continued efforts to create a safe, secure, and prosperous border have directly benefited us here in San Diego. As you all know, last fiscal year was a record-setting year for our sector. Though our sector accounts for just 3% of the total southwest border, we ended the year with over 324,000 apprehensions. This was a level of activity we had not seen in over 2 decades. The efforts by our partners, along with our current enforcement posture, have led to a significant decrease in the illegal entries here in San Diego sector. Almost halfway through the current fiscal year, we have apprehended just over 43,000 illegal aliens. That is over a 70% decrease from the same time last year. To say there has been a dramatic change would be an understatement. In closing, let me be perfectly clear. The border is closed. If you cross illegally here in San Diego sector, you will face consequences. There is no more catch and release. We will leverage all legal authorities and take every reasonable step to ensure illegal aliens are placed in detention and removed from the country. Border security is national security. Border security is why we exist. Our mission is simple: to protect America and our fellow citizens. This mission will define every action we take, every goal we set for ourselves, and every resource we spend. Thank you.
Chief, would you mind spelling your name, please?
Yes. Jeffrey, last name Stalnaker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Now you'll hear from Lieutenant Colonel Tyrone Berrien.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. Agent Laverne, Chief Patrol Agent Stalnaker, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the work that the Marines and sailors are doing here at the southern border alongside the U.S. Border Patrol. As a commanding officer of Task Force Sapper, I'm proud to share the work and critical role the Marines and sailors from the task force have played supporting Border Patrol to protect the territorial integrity of the United States. Task Force Sapper, comprised of 500 Marines and sailors from the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, deployed on 23 January 2025 to carry out missions as directed by the U.S. Northern Command and now Joint Task Force Southern Border. Since our arrival, the task force has been committed to working with the U.S. Border Patrol to achieve and maintain full operational control of the border. The mission of Task Force Sapper here is straightforward. The Marines have been tasked with providing engineering support to the U.S. Border Patrol, reinforcing the existing primary and secondary barriers. We've emplaced miles of concertina wire as part of an obstacle design that is welded permanently to the existing primary and secondary barrier along the southern border. The concertina wire creates an obstacle that disrupts any type of activity or attempts to cross over the top or through the barrier. We've worked in coordination with U.S. Border Patrol to create the obstacle design that's effective with deterring or slowing down illegal entry, ensuring the U.S. Border Patrol agents had the ability to respond in real time. Our engineers have been working side by side with U.S. Border Patrol agents, using their skills and expertise to enhance the capabilities of the border security infrastructure. But it's not just about building physical barriers. The interoperability we've built with U.S. Border Patrol has gone far beyond the engineering side. What you see behind us today is the result of that partnership. Every effort, every decision made has been to enable the U.S. Border Patrol in protecting and maintaining the territorial integrity of the United States. And as always, we've remained agile and adaptable, ready to meet any challenge head-on, alongside and in support of the U.S. Border Patrol. To the Marines and sailors from Task Force Sapper that have worked tirelessly to accomplish the mission, I am proud of all of your work. You have consistently demonstrated professionalism in your craft. Know that your efforts play a big role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States. The task force will continue to work alongside U.S. Border Patrol to carry out the mission as directed by the U.S. Northern Command and the JTF, Joint Task Force Southern Border. Thank you, and Set for Fidelis. Yes, my last name is B-A-R-R-I-O-N.
And the task force name, can you clarify spelling?
Task Force Southern Border, or mine, Sapper, is S-A-P-P-E-R.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
And now, Colonel Mason.
Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Philip Mason, Task Force 716 Commander. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today about our partnership with the U.S. Border Patrol. As Chief Patrol Agent Stallnacker mentioned, the interoperability between Task Force 716 and our Border Patrol partners has been instrumental in rapidly building our capacity to assist in securing the nation's southern border. Securing the border remains a top priority for the Department of Defense and our task force, along with Task Force Griffin. Since January 25th, the soldiers of my task force have been conducting surveillance and monitoring operations in direct support of U.S. Border Patrol in the maritime and land domain. Every day, our soldiers work tirelessly to detect and report illegal crossings and enabling a swift response from our Border Patrol counterparts. These efforts directly contribute to Border Patrol's ability to maintain a secure and effective operational presence and demonstrates the strength of interagency cooperation. By providing these capabilities, DOD personnel are able to enable Border Patrol agents to focus on frontline enforcement, filling critical gaps that previously posed vulnerabilities to our border security. Together, we are committed to adapting to an evolving security landscape and responding to emerging threats. The soldiers of Task Force 716 stand ready to protect the territorial integrity of the United States and assist the Department of Homeland Security in achieving full operational control of the southern border. This mission will define every action we take, every goal we set, and every resource we dedicate. Because protecting America is not just our duty, it is our purpose. Overall, I continue to be impressed with the soldiers of my task force and the integration and the efforts of U.S. Border Patrol to increase our proficiency in this area, along with the great work that they are doing every day to defend our country and secure our borders. Thank you.
We will now open it up to questions. Please announce who the question's for, and then go with your question.
Chief Stallnacker. Chief, good morning. Steve Gregory from Los Angeles. Two things. How many miles of concertina wire have been dispersed, and how would you characterize this relationship with DOD? Is this unprecedented for the Border Patrol, or is this unusual in any way?
So first of all, we have over 6 miles of concertina wire that's been deployed here, both on our primary and secondary border, which has tremendously helped us not only to deter, hopefully, migrants from illegally entering the United States, but to also hopefully point them towards the direction of a safer entry into the United States, which would be at the port of entry. Our partnerships with DOD, this is not anything that's new. We have been working with DOD for many, many years. But we are very grateful to have them here in this capacity, helping us out to secure the border here in San Diego.
Is it on a level that you've not seen before? I know you've worked with them before, but it
Right.
seems like the buildup here was that
So the amount of personnel, DOD personnel that we have here, the amount of soldiers we have here is a large number, a number that I haven't experienced in my career. However, they have a lot of work that they're doing for us, helping us out, secure the border. San Diego sector, fiscal year to date, is the most busiest sector in the country. So having the amount of personnel here assisting us kind of aligns with that for being the busiest sector in the country.
Given the 3 migrant deaths in the Otay Mountains just this past week, do you think these added enforcements are pushing migrants to take more dangerous routes?
So we are not the ones that coordinate their route that they take. We have had migrants that enter the San Diego sector area responsibility throughout the 60 miles that we have. So it's not uncommon that we have experienced migrants illegally enter in that area. So is it a result of this? I don't know. I'm not the one that helps coordinate that. It is not uncommon, though, for them to cross in that area.
Have we also seen an increase in maritime operations for human smuggling on our waters?
So the number on the water has gradually increased. We do anticipate that as we continue to lock down the border here and secure it, we will most likely see a greater increase on the maritime environment. And we are looking at levels that we've seen in the 2023 timeframe, which are higher than normal.
Chief, what is the plan this administration? Militarize more in this part of the border? Establish some bases in this area?
Currently, you see that DOD is here working and helping us. They are a force multiplier for us. They're assisting us not only put up concertina wire, but also deployed to help us monitor in a detection and monitoring mission. And what that means is they're assisting us at what we call our common operating picture. It's like an operations center where our feeds from cameras go back towards. So they monitor like televisions and computer screens that we have fed from the border to assist us in that capacity. So they are out here working and assisting us.
Chief, if you give us a number between CBP and DOD personnel, how many would that be?
Out here working. So we have a little over 1,900 agents here in San Diego sector, and a total deployment of DOD personnel is about 750.
Chief, can you talk about the concertina wire? Specifically, how is it used as a deterrent?
Just simply seeing that it's there. It's not easy to cross, number one. You have an 18-foot barrier as your primary, a 30-foot barrier as your secondary. That border infrastructure system that we have here is built to hopefully deny and prevent people from crossing. And this added concertina wire to it reinforces it, hopefully makes it more difficult for them to cross, but ideally it deters them from crossing and prevents them from crossing. Again, we would rather have them enter at a port of entry where it's much safer, and hopefully this guides them in that direction. If they present themselves and obtain the proper documentation to enter the country, yes. That's probably a question you should ask Office of Field Operations.
Have there been people crossing that way? Have there been people coming to the port of entry and being allowed entry in the last, since Trump was elected, that are seeking asylum?
So I don't work at the port of entry. I'd be talking on behalf of them, which I shouldn't do. I think those questions are best for the Office of Field Operations.
Chief, could you specify the catch and release and where do you send them right now? You said
Right, so catch and release has ended. That is no longer happening. Anyone who is apprehended here on the border is being taken to our central processing center. Their checks are ran, biometrics are collected. Should they have some sort of criminal history, then we'll present them to the United States Attorney's Office to be prosecuted for that, whatever they have done. And from there, once we get them back, they'll be removed from the United States.
Is there any possibility that this is going to expand even further than what it is? Like, are they going to deploy more troops here? Do you guys know? And if so, when is that going to happen? And then also, are you guys very limited in what you're able to do or how you're able to engage? Just doing the backup work, putting up the concertina wire, and monitoring videos, or could you actually engage if something happened? If there was people trying to breach the border, could the military engage with them?
So I would prefer the military to answer that. If anyone's going to breach the border in your area,
like a large group. Like
okay. Now you mean just cross illegally, or are you talking about something more significant?
November 2018. The big
Okay. I'm sorry. I could answer. I thought you meant a more.
I'd like to hear both.
Okay. So at this point, it's our job to apprehend the individuals that come across. Right now, I believe their mission is just to detect and monitor if someone comes across. So they would call us, inform us that someone has crossed, and then we would respond and handle that situation. Oh, yes, for a second.
You mentioned before that for those that are coming in the country illegally, there will be consequences. Can you further explain what those consequences will be?
Yes, so entering the country, obviously, it is illegal between the ports of entry. So there have been laws established for many, many, many years that if you enter the country illegally, you will be removed, or if you enter and you have criminal history, there's a different process for that. Again, we would notify the United States Attorney and see if they would accept a prosecution for something that they've done. For example, that they have something that they may have done would be have done something unfortunately to children or to women, and they've been caught and have served time previously for that, and then they re-enter, or they're deported and re-enter, so they would be processed accordingly with us. Again, presented to the United States Attorney's Office, and then the judge would determine whether to convict, and if they're convicted, they would seek jail time, and then after that, we would remove them from the United States. Yes, for the fiscal year. So anyone that would be prosecuted would have most likely have a prior history.
What would be the amount of time that a person that doesn't have criminal charges tries to enter the United States? How many hours or days does it take to get them back?
So if with no history like that, you're looking at approximately 3 to 5 days.
The Trump administration has been talking about a military installment in the buffer zone in New Mexico. Is there any chances that that might be implemented here in the southwestern border?
I'm not aware of anything happening here.
Can you provide some specific examples since the wire has gone up, whether or not people have attempted to either dismantle the wire or try to cross?
Yes, there have been cases already where individuals have tried or have cut the C wire, and we have already provided maintenance on that to fix it. Yes.
How often does that happen?
I don't have a time frame of how often that happens.
What's the cost of this?
I don't have a cost associated. I'm not sure how much concertina wire runs.
Chief, the PA aerial observations are happening in pretty regular frequency now along Texas, Arizona. Are you using that same sort of technology here, that aerial surveillance?
What kind of aerial surveillance?
That P-8 jet out of I think Davis-Monthan and Omaha.
Oh, with Air and Marine. So we do have Air and Marine local here who does fly aircraft here. And they also work in our maritime environment. So we do have them flying aircraft in our area responsibility.
And then what type of intel are they providing on the ground?
Should they see something, they can absolutely let us know what they're seeing here. We can respond to any sort of law enforcement event.
That's in a real-time environment, right?
Yes.
How long will military personnel be here? Is there a threshold for apprehension? What can you plan moving forward?
I have not been told of an end date. That has not been shared with me.
For the CBP Home app, is CBP doing something like social actions for that when a migrant wants to be out to the port?
So the CBP app is not something in my purview. That is not something that I deal with here as a Border Patrol.
Do you offer any numbers of, like how many migrants you're apprehending a week now and how many gotaways you're doing?
Yep. So for fiscal year to date, we've apprehended just over 43,000 individuals illegally entering the United States. Right now, we're averaging somewhere about 30 to 40 a day apprehensions.
And that's for the sector?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there any other recent tangible changes along the southwestern sector other than this barbed wire, in addition to the troops coming in? What are some of the tangible shifts that we've seen in the last few months?
So again, the deployment with the DOD here, so they're putting up the concertina wire, which is extremely helpful, but they're also providing a detection and monitoring type mission. Again, what that means is that we usually have an agent sitting in a vehicle with a camera on it. They have to sit in that vehicle and monitor the activity that they're looking at. With DOD personnel here, they're able to now sit in that vehicle, and we can deploy that agent back to the field to provide the maximum amount of agents to the border to be able to interdict anyone who's illegally crossing the United States.
Sir, with more law enforcement here on the ground, we've seen those numbers drop significantly, but have we seen a trend really in cartel activity, and what are you guys doing to curb their actions here in the United States?
Yeah, so the numbers have dropped. That's the activity that we see here as Border Patrol. The numbers that were coming across last year were drastically higher. We had just over 324,000 apprehensions here in San Diego, and now that number fiscal year to date has dropped to just over 43,000 apprehensions. Again, that's about a 70% decrease in what we're seeing here, and that's the impact that either we've had or something has changed on the south side that I'm not aware of. However, yes, having more agents out here is going to give us the greatest opportunity to be able to detect illegal entries here and keep America safe.
Have we seen the cartel's business strategy, though, adjust accordingly to the efforts we're seeing here?
Other than the decrease in the amount of migrants coming over, I'm not aware of anything else.
You would have to ask JTF Southern Border that as far as future troop deployments.
What is the difference between now and then for the collaboration between Mexican authorities then and now?
What's the question again?
The collaboration with Mexican authorities, could you explain what is
Yeah, so we have a very, very good relationship with our South Side partners. We have our agents going south a few times a week in order to have face-to-face conversations with them, share information with them, let them know kind of what's happening, where we could use their deployments to assist us. We also conduct mirror patrols with them, and what that is us driving on the north side of the border wall and them driving on the south side and kind of patrolling the border together in order to identify any illegal activity going on in that area. So the partnerships with them are really, really good.
What do you call them, mirror patrols?
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, can you tell us a little bit about the second deployment of the U.S. destroyer that will be joining the U.S. bravely?
I'm not aware of any information regarding that, sir.
Chief, out of the 30 to 40 a day that you're apprehending, about how many of those have criminal histories in the United States?
I don't have an average. It all depends on who's crossing. There's not an average per se of X amount of criminals crossing, but we have over 1,000 fiscal year to date.
Can you provide any insight into any sort of apprehensions or operations against vigilante groups, those that particularly prey on migrants trying to cross the border? Have you seen an increase in any sort of arrests of those types of people?
No, ma'am.
Chief, it was announced that several temporary processing facilities were going to close along the border. Is that the case here in San Diego?
Yes, ma'am. We just shut down our central processing center just a few days ago.
Was that an OPEC?
Near Pogo.
You mentioned 30 to 40 a day now. How does that compare to a year ago a day?
Yes, ma'am. A year ago, we were seeing somewhere between about 1,200 to 1,400 illegal entries every day.
Can you explain the numbers about how that, from what I've read, has decreased towards the end of the year of last year?
What's your question again?
You said what is about 1,400 a day comparatively to today to last year. What about in the fall? What was that number at?
So it has slowly decreased since the fall time frame, but not to the numbers that we're seeing today. We're still seeing a few hundred in the fall last year, and now we're seeing a significant difference right now.
Sir, you said you just shut down the central processing center in San Diego, so where are the apprehended migrants taking them?
Good question. So at each station we have 5 Border Patrol stations here on the border. We have 2 up north on one on Highway 15, one on I-5. So we have processing centers in our Border Patrol stations as well. The reason why we had the central processing center previously was just due to the amount of illegal aliens that were crossing into the United States. That flow was more than we could handle at the Border Patrol stations. So therefore, we leased the soft side facility or the central processing center in order to be able to handle that amount of illegal aliens.
So is the closure because of the decrease in numbers, or is that a distance?
So both. To be good stewards of taxpayer money, it costs a good amount of money to be able to lease that. But also, since the numbers are lower, we're able to now handle that amount of activity at our Border Patrol stations.
And projecting out, do you look at numbers ahead of time, given the current trends right now in your apprehensions? Do you project on how you'll end the fiscal year?
The only way I could project that, sir, is to just take what we're seeing now and apply that across the months ahead of us.
Only one has been shut down. The rest of them are still open?
I'm unaware of what other sectors or what state the other sectors are in right now.
That'll be the last question for us.
Can you talk at all about what you anticipate as it starts to get warmer and we get closer to summer? Is that still, a high season in your industry?
Of course, right. As it gets warmer, it's difficult for individuals to walk through the desert. A lot of these illegal aliens don't travel with enough water or food to make it through. So yes, it's a huge concern, and it will always be a concern as the weather gets warmer, just as it's a concern now. Last week when we had freezing temperatures out in the East Desert, up in the mountains, when we had the weather that blew in.
All right, that will conclude the question and answer. Now we will head into the enforcement zone. You will be allowed to do stand-ups with the public affairs team and I believe the principals for DOD as well. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to see you guys again. Thanks.
He's taking off.